2020 is when I found out, is when I really was diagnosed. And so not that long ago.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's been quite the journey, but it was my greatest gift.
How so? How was that your greatest gift? That just sounds most people, like, have it forever and are
Yeah.
you're
And
super healthy.
yeah, I do still have it technically, but
Yeah.
I don't allow it to dictate anything in my life. And ultimately, when I look at the journey of where it took me to, which is some very dark places, but where it's now brought me to, that's where it becomes my greatest gift is what I learned in the in between stages. And I look at it now and I say, if my worst thing in my life, my biggest challenge, Lyme disease, is that I have to make sure I am extremely healthy. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay.
So what did you do? You went to Germany, like, you're flying around, they discover what's wrong,
So
and
I
you're an
didn't end up
athlete, right?
physically. Yeah, so I
You're an
this is on the tail
ex-athlete,
end
right?
of an athletic career where, yeah, my physical body has been
Yeah,
such a
so
big
it's
part of what I do and who I am, and of course, how I define myself from a place of my ego mainly at that time. But yeah, the doctors didn't they could not figure it out. They could not stop anything. So ultimately, I had to make a decision and I had to say, am I going to live in this dark place? Am I going to continue to get frustrated? Am I going to just cry? Am I going to just sit in this or am I going to figure it out and dig deep? And within me, I've just always had the power to pull out of things and look for the light. And so at that time, I had spoken with a friend and they said, I know a shaman that I've heard that Kambo medicine is good for Lyme's disease. And
okay, so you had been diagnosed at that point. You
yes.
knew, okay, okay, so
Yeah,
keep
and
going.
for me, so many people look at things and they think, "Oh, that must have been scary." For me, it was, wow, what a weight off of me
Yeah,
to when I got that diagnosis, I have an answer. I have
yeah, now
something
you know.
to target, to go after. Okay, how
Yeah.
do we do this now?
Now you can
And
get into the
so
solution if
and
there
I
yeah,
got into the
whatever.
research hole and I just went to town on everything. And listen, I'll be vulnerable in here. I everything under the sun, including coffee enemas, to myself daily. That was a humbling experience for the couple first times. And then it was trying not to poop myself for 15 minutes after I did it every day. And that's the honest truth. And so I did everything I could find. And these little pieces started to get better. But I'll tell you, my unlock was really when I spent a few days down in Vancouver with a shaman and I did
Mhm.
some work.
So what did the shaman do? Because I've
So
saw a shaman in Bali who took my husband to see after that.
amazing.
He's just like he looks like a shaman. So I'm
Yeah.
always
No,
curious.
she was incredible. So she mainly serves a medicine called Kambo, which is the secretion from an Amazonian frog. And the frog is not harmed in the process, don't worry. But when I did my research, I looked at this and I said, okay, it boosts your immune system. Cool, I'll go do this. And essentially, I spent 3 days with her, and they burn into your skin, and then they take the secretion and they put it on it, and immediately it goes into your bloodstream, and you purge. Okay, so you throw up, and it's meant to have more of a purge as well with whatever free radicals are in your body. And so for me, again, I was living in this space of okay, it'll help my immune system. Let's go boost up. But ultimately, on day 3, I had a spiritual unlock, and the only way I can explain it is I literally felt something in the lower left side of my stomach click and shift. And there's more to this story. There's a longer story there. Of that morning, I had a flock of birds like fly almost through me, and I saw a coyote, and like there was the my environment was sending me signals of okay, we're aligned to really go in here. So, but I don't want to take people down too much of a path.
Is
But
it
from
I mean,
that
were you
time,
told wait, so, okay. Were you told, "Look for signs," or later did you think back and go, "Oh, there were signs"? Were you noticing and not
the birds I had no choice but to know it was a sign. The coyote I later pieced in. It was just like he should not have been there in that part of where I was and why he crossed my path. And then the birds, I actually have a video of this because it happened 3 times in a row. And anybody who I share this video with is like, wow, I felt that because they literally come right. There's about 300 birds and come right through me. And so it was an alignment of the universe letting me know, like, you're ready for this. This is the day we're going to move through this. And so I felt so charged up going into my final day. And you're talking after 2 days of it's not the nicest process to go through, but it's healing.
okay, so
Right.
then what
And
happened?
so It was leaving that it was just these instances that I couldn't ignore, right? So I went into day 3, I had that unlock, and it's not a spiritual, it's not a psychedelic medicine or anything. But I had that spiritual tap in, and I left having to just really look and listen and integrate everything I went through in those 3 days. But coming out the other side in diving into meditation and Joe Dispenza meditations daily, and then breathwork was another piece of that. I had found breathwork in the
So how
previous year.
well, okay, so wait. So how did you know to look up Joe Dispenza or breathwork or anything like that? Did the shaman recommend it, or is it just you
No.
just had this
So
intuitive thought, I'm gonna go online and look up like what the hell just
yeah, so
happened?
you know
And
what? I'll rewind about a year. Listen, I was in a quick minute here. I was a burnt out sales individual. Okay. I had, after the tail end of my athletic career, I came in and I was feeling really lost. And so I started to work with a friend of mine, and I got as fit as I've ever been in my life. And he shared breath work with me for the first time, as well
okay.
as I'd heard Joe Dispenza. And then it was after this peak where I was in the best shape in my life, mentally, physically, everything, that the universe came and said, "You didn't slow down enough, son." That's when Lyme disease came into my life. So that's how I have a good friend to thank for the breathwork introduction. And then I, again, like anything, when I feel a high, or I feel a little natural buzz, or I feel get a boost of energy from someone's ideas, I'm like, I got to follow that, right? That's the
Yeah.
flow calling me. So I did my own research. I read an amazing book called Feel to Heal by Gitin Tonkov, one of the grandfathers of holotropic breath work. And I just continued picking up books.
So you here you are, you're recovering from Lyme's or whatever. You have your shift after the shaman,
Yeah.
and there's Joe Dispenza and the breath work. Let's talk about where you went with that.
Yeah. So the breath work was an amazing one. Listen, the first time I experienced, I've lived in a wild life in my younger life. And the first time I did breath work, I said, I got higher than anything I've ever dabbled in any world. But beyond that, it was enlightening in the things I saw and felt. And I was just in such awe that I was like, this is something that is within us, that is free, that we can all access anytime. And to give an example of a couple pieces that are just wild and it'll take people to a place, but I remember seeing myself as a 16-year-old in an embarrassing moment, and I was able to meet myself with the wisdom I have today to release that, to hug that 16-year-old and release it. And now, to give people context, that is in like an hour-long journey that this happened, a breathwork journey. So let me go. Do you mind if I give 30 seconds of 101 on
Yeah.
breathwork as well?
Uh-huh.
Because I
Well,
know it's a newer world for a lot of people. And so, at a very conscious level, guys, breathwork is learning to harness the breath in a conscious way. So in our everyday lives, it's part of our autonomic system, right? Like our blood pumps blood, or our heart pumps blood through our body, like our stomach digests our food and turns it into nutrients. Our respiratory system sends oxygen and we breathe. But when we take it to the level of consciousness, of harnessing the breath and right, taking it deeper, taking it shallower, whatever serves, there's ways to activate and restore the body. That is where breath work becomes extremely powerful. So when I started to dive into it and feel these things and realize how not only healing it can be, but also in a performance space with an athlete, or in the corporate world to charge you up before a leadership meeting or a big keynote speaking on stage, like any facet of your life, breath work can serve you, whether it's waking up in the morning to feeling anxiousness and taking over to calm yourself down. Like anywhere you look at any realm, it's valuable. And that's where I just light bulbs everywhere, and I want to help the world. I want to breathe life into the world. And so
yeah.
I started in a very, I had no idea what I was doing. That's the truth. Okay. But I knew one method of breath work. I had one little practice, and I said, when Trev and I invite people down to the river, because we were jumping in a cold river at the time, he, I believe, called me up to do it. In fact, he said, let's do breath work before. Lead us in breath work. And if Trevor, that's what he does. He pulls you into uncomfortable things, and that's why I love him. But so I did that for quite some time. And it was amazing to watch all the shifts in people that had never done it and just felt so good. And then I took it to our men's groups. And again, watching the unlocks and all of that was just incredible. And then it's only in the last year that I really took it deeper and deeper, and I learned how much I didn't know.